Alright, welcome to the video on level 2 sentence template. We are going to talk about an updated sentence template which is called master sentence template, which we have not updated since 2019, like maybe 1 year ago, more than 1 year ago. Okay, so after weeks of filling the gaps using examples from the Quran. So we are going to update the sentence template, which you will see in the next screen. Okay, but in the first screen that you are seeing now, I'm going to talk about definitions of changeable nouns. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to focus on whenever you see nouns and endings of nouns, and then you will sort of can guess what are the functions of those nouns. All right, so let's begin. Okay, now I want you to just focus on three things now. Okay, so a noun is either pushed or lifted or dragged. Okay, we are talking about changeable nouns as opposed to fixed nouns. Now, fixed nouns can also sort of be pushed, lifted and dragged, but we don't say that they are pushed, lifted and dragged. We just say that they are in a push position, in a lifted position, in a drag position, specifically for pronouns, okay, and adverbs. All right, so I want you to focus on those three things. Okay, now if this is too small, okay, in a while when I explain, I'm going to enlarge this, and then the lower row you would see follower nouns. Okay, follower nouns follow the force of the noun before it. Okay, so a follower noun by definition can be pushed, can be lifted, can be dragged based on however the previous noun is forced or is moved. Okay, okay, that's the next point, and the other point that I want you to focus on later is a term I introduced. Now, this term I introduced, now this is a new term that I introduced, which is flipped nouns. Now, don't panic yet. Okay, this is not a new thing. Okay, now I'm just giving it a name because before this there is no name for that. Okay, what I mean by flipped noun is this: whenever you see inna and family, okay, whenever you see inna and family or inna and gang, okay, what happens is that it precedes a nominal structure. Okay, it precedes a nominal structure, and kana also precedes a nominal structure. Okay, what it does is it flips, okay, the words in those in the nominal structure. Okay, how does it flip it? Okay, so let's say you have an-nahwu sahlun. Okay, so okay, I'm going to enlarge this to let you see. Okay, and then we go back to the main topic. This is just to explain what's the meaning of flip. So you have, let's say you have a nominal structure. Okay, so a nominal structure consisting of two words, an-nahwu sahl. An-nahwu means grammar. Okay, sahlun means easy or simple. Now, without inna, let's say there's no inna, it will be an-nahwu sahlun. Okay, push and push, right? So grammar is easy. But then when you put inna, it flips the first noun into being lifted, but the second noun stays the same. So inna flips from dhamma to fatha. Okay, from nahwu to nahwa. So from an-nahwu sahlun becomes inna nahwa sahlun. Now it flips. And kana is similar in the sense that it also flips, but it flips the second word. So originally it should be nahwu sahlun, but then it flips the second word into sahlan. Now in that case, in the past I say, okay, inna and gang does something to the nominal structure, kana and gang does something to the nominal structure. Now I'm giving just a one word to refer to both, to refer to both things, which is inna is a flipper, kana is also a flipper. Okay, so whatever nouns that come after inna and kana are called flipped nouns. Now if that term is confusing, just forget about it, and then just based on what you know before this. I'm trying to just simplify everything so that so that we can refer as many things as possible using as minimum terms as possible. Now let's go back to our main topic, which is push nouns. Okay, now push nouns. Now what's the point of this? Again, now the main point of me presenting about this is for you to simply identify the functions of nouns. Okay, which means when you see a pushed noun and the main sign of a pushed noun is dhamma, okay, so this works for changeable nouns. It doesn't really work for fixed nouns, although it does work for fixed nouns if you know the meanings of those nouns in beforehand. Okay, so whenever you see a push nouns, which means it has a dhamma at the end or two dhammas at the end, as in a tanween, okay, it can either be of four functions. Okay, it can either be of four functions, and the first function is subject of nominal. This occurs at the start of a sentence and usually is a definite noun. The second possibility, it's a predicate of nominal. It completes the meaning of subject of nominal and usually non-definite. Now, a noun which has a dhamma and pushed, okay, can also be a subject of nominal. It occurs after, this is very important, after an active verb and indicates the doer of the verb. Or it can be a deputy subject of verb. It occurs after a passive verb, okay, taking the force of the omitted subject of verb. Okay, we went through this for the last 2 weeks. Okay, so what's the point here? Remember, when you see a dhamma, it's either one of these four. It's either one of these four. I'm going to talk about plus here. You see a plus, for plus, okay, later on. Okay, now let's go to the next one. The next one would be a lifted noun. Now, when a noun is lifted, okay, there can be at least four possibilities. Of course, at least one lah, but at least four main possibilities. Now, those four possibilities have, okay, you see a plus here. We'll go to the plus later on. So whenever you see a noun with fatha or fathatain at the back, okay, it's either object or verb, indicates to whom the verb of subject occurs, or either it's a state, okay, which is a non-definite noun that clarifies the how of the SOV or OOV when the verb occurs. Or either it's a specifier, a non-definite noun clarifying what is vague in a preceding word. Now, I'm not giving examples here because to save time, and then we will go through the examples in Zoom in a bigger picture. We went through examples of this last week, but we want to say it in the sentence template so that we know where each function is in that table. Okay. And the last one is exception. This is usually the noun that occurs after illa, and then that noun is lifted with a fatha mainly. Okay, so those are the lifted nouns, at least four or four plus. Okay, and then let's go to the dragged nouns. Okay, now dragged nouns is quite the easiest thing in the world actually. in terms of force, because you just have two, and you just have to remember whenever you see something that is dragged, the kasra or kasratain, okay, it's an object of verb or possessive. Okay, that's it. Okay, now let's go to the plus here. Let's go to the plus. What do we mean by plus here? Now what we mean by plus here is that a noun that is a follower. Okay, okay, let's go to the follower first, and then we go to the plus. Okay, now a follower noun is a noun that follows a previous noun in terms of definiteness, gender, number, and force. So the force of the follower is the same as its followee, as what it follows. Okay, and you can see here there are four, right? We've gone through this a lot: adjective, conjunction, emphasis, and elaboration. And you can see, I'll just read here the definitions. An adjective describes the noun it follows, like an attribute, character. A conjunction is preceded by a conjunction. A follower conjunction is preceded by a conjunction particle, like wa, which separates it from the noun it follows. An emphasis clears the possible doubts in a sentence. The clearest example of emphasis is when a word is repeated. It's the same word is repeated in a sentence. And elaboration is like adjective, similar but a bit different in the sense that it indicates the essence of the noun that it follows, or a part of the essence of the noun it follows. Now, so when you have a follower, you have a noun plus a noun, right? So the second one is the follower, and it follows the previous one. So when the previous one has dhamma false, therefore you have a dhamma false. When the previous one has a kasra, it follows that is kasra, and so on. So which means and fatha, which means when we say push nouns for plus, it means the plus can be plus a pushed follower also, right? So you have 5. Okay, so push nouns, you can plus a pushed follower, so you have 5. Therefore lifted nouns for plus, right? So you can also plus a lifted follower. And drag nouns, you can also have plus, which means you have 3 drag nouns, as in 2 drag nouns plus 1 dragged follower. So that's what the plus means. Okay, now let's go to this flipped nouns. Okay, now flipped nouns, as I said, it's just about inna and kana. Okay, now so what you need to know about this is just a recap. So most of you would, all of you would have gone through this and would have understood this already. So this is just to introduce a new term, which is these are flipper words. Okay, so these are flipper words, and this the examples you can see here: kana, yakunu, kun, asbaha, yusbihu, dhalla, and so on. These are the family of kana, the word family of kana, which would be the same as kana in terms of force. Okay, so let's say I don't want kana here, I want to put laisa, so I put laisa here. Laisa means not. Okay, and then let's say I say kana nahwu sahlan. Kana nahwu sahlan, grammar was easy, and then you say no, laisa nahwu sahlan. Laisa means not, so grammar is not easy or was not easy. So laisa can be past or present. Now, so of course you can also use anything else. Asbaha means become, so asbaha nahwu sahlan, grammar becomes easy, and so on. Now the point here is to note that as you can see here, let's just take okay, let me just change the color here. Okay, so this nahwu would be the subject of nominal, sahlan would be the predicate of nominal. You can also say here, because kana comes after it or laisa comes after it, you can say subject of kana, nahu is subject of kana, and sahlan is predicate of kana. You can say that also. That's what it is. If you read the books, they will say it like that. But you can also say that nahu is subject of nominal, sahlan is predicate of nominal, because it's originally a nominal. Okay, so the point here is the second one is flipped. Okay, so the second one is the flipped noun here. Okay, which means it is lifted, right? It is lifted. In that case, it goes into this one, right? Lifted noun. So lifted nouns have 4 plus follower, lifted follower, plus lifted predicate of noun, right? So maybe I should write that here. So you have a follower here, lifted follower, and then lifted predicate of noun. I mean predicate of nominal, lifted predicate of nominal. Okay, and if you see inna, also, what it does is that it lifts the subject of nominal, which is nahu, right? So subject of nominal of inna can also be lifted. Okay, and predicate of nominal of kana can also be lifted. In that sense, you have 7, right? So you have 4 here. You have 4. OV state specify exception, and then you have a lifted follower, lifted predicate of nominal, and lifted subject of nominal for inna. And then the push nouns. The push nouns also, you have a follower, pushed follower, and then you have a pushed predicate of nominal, pushed predicate of nominal for inna, and pushed subject of nominal for kana. In that sense, with that you have 7 pushed nouns, right? 4 plus 3, and lifted also 4 plus 3, and dragged would be 2 plus 1, which is the follower. All right, so once you understand all this, you can see that the summary of all this is that there are 7 pushed nouns. Okay, 4 plus 3. At least. Okay, there would be more when you really go deep into grammar, but that's not necessary for now. So for lifted noun also 4 plus 3, and for dragged nouns is also is 2 plus 1. Okay, so now let's go to the second screen to see how this is mapped out in an updated sentence template. Okay, so here's the simple version of the level 2 sentence template. I just call it level 2 to differentiate it from the first one. Now the main difference here is there are some rearrangements of columns and rows. Okay, most of what you see here are the same. Except for some additional terms that we added because the last few weeks we filled some gaps, and then we just took some new stuff. Okay, now now the first thing that you need to notice here is there are 3 columns: pre, core, and post. Okay, pre, core, and post. Now I call core 1 here. Okay, so you have a verbal structure, which is the verb and subject of verb, right? So this one we learned from the start, and then we added something here, which is whenever a verb is passive, you have a deputy subject of verb. So it's the same thing here, just added the passive verb is added, and then I call the first part of the core number 1, and the second part of the core number 2. Okay, and the same thing, you have a nominal, so that's the verbal, and then you have the nominal here. Down here you have the subject of nominal and predicate of nominal. That's the same thing. The only difference here is the passive verb is added, and I added number 1 and 2. That's it. Okay, and then because I want to focus on the forces for this functions of nouns, I say that the core 2 is pushed. Okay, so subject of verb is pushed, deputy subject of verb is pushed, predicate of noun is pushed. Same for core 1, everything is pushed, subject of noun is pushed, the active verb is pushed, the passive verb is pushed by default. But then you have to note that when I say pushed, I'm just referring to the present tense. Okay, this is very important so that you don't get confused. Okay, not all verbs are pushed, not all verbs are moved, right? Because most verbs are not. The past tense and the command tense are fixed. Now only the present tense is moved. Now, so for this template, you just have to bear in mind that I'm just referring to the changeables, the changeable nouns and the changeable verbs. Okay, so there you have it for the core. And when we go to the pre, for example, the pre, in your old template there would be like 3 columns, 2 or 3 columns, right? And the first column is the watcher, where you have a long column, a list of watcher particles, and then at the right you have the lifter and killer and whatever else there. Now I'm making them all be in one straight column, okay, to simplify. Okay, so you have something like a watcher, like qad comes before the verb, or if it's a present tense, you have something like sawfa. Okay, it doesn't really change the present tense. The present tense stay pushed. You have something a lifter like lan, killer like lam. Okay, now all these three are in your old template. Now I'm adding something here which is killer 2. We went through killer conditional, right? Remember, something like in or man. We went through man, right? So man ya'mal mithqala dharratin. So when you have something like man, okay, man, so it has a conditional structure which consists of the conditional verb and the response to that verb. Okay, so I'm just adding this, okay, to this template. Okay, and flipper 1 and flipper 2, as I explained in the first screen, it's quite straightforward, which is inna and gang. Okay, and then kana and gang is here. Okay, in Zoom later on we will go through these examples more and include all examples in all these boxes. Okay, this is just explaining this table. Now, and then in the post one, this is the final one, I have divided into 2. In the previous table you still have 2, but in just like one column going down, but now I'm giving 2 columns, so you have column 1 and column 2, post 1 and post 2. This is to make it easier, much easier for you, so that post 1 is just the lifted nouns and post 2 are the direct nouns, which are the object of preposition and the possessive that comes after the adverb. Before this, we see prepositions and adverbs are the same. We call them both prepositions. Now, since we are moving further, so we are separating them into 2, but in terms of force is the same. The first one directs the second one. Okay, and then the post one is you see 4 things. We mentioned, right, 4 plus 3 in the previous screen, right, which is the 4 are the OOV, and then number 2 is the state, number 3 is the specifier, and number 4 is the exception. Okay, so OOV1 as in number 1 object, first object, you can have a second object of verb, and you can have an absolute object of verb which share the same roots as its verb. Okay, so in Zoom I will be filling in these boxes with examples, and we are going to sort of see everything in this template, all the examples that are possible, all the functions and all the forces. Okay, so that's it for this week's video, and I'll see you in Zoom.